Using my Milwaukee M12 drain auger this morning, and a couple things to note about this is first of all, I've just used this a couple times over the last few months that I've had it. This must be the inside core. Add a little strength to the snake, I suppose, whatever. So big deal. I don't really care, but it looks like it's unwinding out of the snake itself. We'll see how that holds up. I don't really care. It does the job. It goes in there, it does the job. Love the shroud around it. I really don't stand it up much on this, but thing to note, if you have an XC pack on there, it will not stand up very well, but I don't really care. I mostly have it angled like this because then it goes into a kitchen drain. Shroud here that locks the cable in place, so keep it from moving in and out, is extremely hard to actually push in place. I gotta put my full body weight on it, and then it snaps into place, and then it's kind of difficult to pull off as well. And then when you go to try to do it, this little collar here will pull off real easy, so that's slightly disappointing. I mean, I can work around it, kind of get used to it. Then when I have it released and I try to pull the snake out, it's stuck pretty good because it got jaws in right here that close on the snake to keep it from moving around. Oh man, I got it finally. This thing slips out pretty easy if you're not careful. It'll actually, if you got some in there, half of it in there, it'll tend to want to pull out real easy. Then, I couldn't believe it. The last thing you'd expect something to go wrong in this, not the machine itself, but the bucket that came with it. Look at that. I do not want that at all. If I got schmooze all over this snake and I go to put it back in my bucket, and I got it on a nice floor, the last thing I need is for this to drip all over the place when I'm taking it back out to my truck. So, I don't even, how did that happen? Looks like it shrunk. Looks like the plastic shrunk, and it's separated. It's like the plastic shrunk. I've only had it a couple months. I've never had a bucket do that this quick. There's just such a light load in it. So, other than that, it does its job. I love it. No cords to run. The biggest thing that I had on corded Super V or snake of that nature was that the cord, I'd have to plug it in a kitchen. About the only plugs you got, about the only receptacles you have in a kitchen are the ones on the kitchen countertop. You drag a cord across the kitchen countertop, and this whole thing's covered in schmooze, and so is the cord. You don't want that dragging across the kitchen countertop, and I love not having to do that anymore. The shroud, I love the shroud. I can set it on the floor like this because it's kind of angled up against to go up into the drain, or up against my arm. And yeah, it does its job. It's just there's a few gripes about it that I won't have to work around. So maybe I can do something about this. I don't know, but for now, I really like how it works. It does its job right. So overall, it's a plus. It's a plus in my line of work, and I love having it. Note is when you're feeding this into a pipe, you know, doing your thing. You wonder where you're at, how much further do you have to go? Look it. It's got a little ball in the end, or I should say it's about 3 feet from the end. So you know you don't want to go much more, and you're about at the end. That is actually very nice. Very nice to have, to know where you're at, instead of you're running out and then you gotta, it's all slips out and you gotta shove it back in and fiddle around with that. So that's really nice that they did that. So it's got great torque on the motor. It definitely is really nice in that regards. You know, it's got power, it doesn't bog down. That part I'll agree with. So they did a nice job overall. And a few things that I don't like about it, well, I don't know, maybe it'll wear in. Maybe I'll break it permanently. Maybe I'll just take this thing off. You know, just leave it off. I don't know. We'll see. I like using it. I like having it available. Makes it nice.